It's another great day for the unemployed. Ian's boxing coach and his wife went to H3H3 podcast today, and a lot of stuff has been brought to the light. From how they rented out a whole hotel for 300 people for CC2, to learning that Anisa is more in charge and unhinged than we actually thought, to how they knew they were in the negative at least a month before Creator Clash 2, yet still did the gala. Let's begin with seeing how Anisa flew a bunch of influencers and paid for the entire hotel for 300 plus of them, plus parties during Creator Clash 2.
Details that you guys shared with me. For example, one being that I think it was you, Kate, that mentioned that he and Anisa did in fact pay for Hassan and all of his compadres to travel to and stay at Creator Clash 2.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were talking about that long before, about how they had to fly in all these people. First of all, they rented the hotel for over 300 creators and flew a lot of them in. When the first year it was much more scaled back. We just had a couple floors of like some place, like a nice suite place, but it wasn't extravagant at all. And then the second year, they did that full hotel for 300 creators. They flew a lot of people in. One of the people they flew in was Froggy Tonic, and they flew him in from France.
That's insane.
Imagine flying 300 plus people and then wondering why you don't have money left for the event. When the first time, as he said, they actually just went on a small scale and still were able to handle a lot of creators that actually were important to the event. But no, this time they flew in 300 plus creators, and they couldn't fly in Ian's dad because they didn't have the budget for it. But they could fly 300 other people? What the fuck is wrong with them?
But yeah, they flew in a lot of people. They rented out the whole hotel for 300 creators. And when we asked them if Ian's dad was going to be there, because he was there for the first event, they said they couldn't afford to fly Ian's dad in. It was too expensive.
They then went on to saying that Anisa was adamant about having certain people at their event because, as we know from other clips, she actually wanted this event to be more like Twitch or VidCon, where it's more an influencer gathering than actual charity.
First year that because she would always talk about a certain group of people. It was like somebody named Pokimane and all these other people. And she would always talk about how she wants like them to be there and she wants to be a part of their group. So a lot of it, and then so that's why and then the first year was like during that girl's birthday party. So
sorry. Knowing that detail, it breaks my heart that she had to settle for denims.
Though settling for denims is punishment enough, I think.
Yeah. I don't really know these people, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the only people I really know in the YouTube world is you guys, because you guys were so nice to us. Like, we got more clout from being on your show than we ever did from working with Ian, because he would never show any of the work we did. He would never. Yeah. And then everybody else, it drove me crazy. Like, AB would shout out his coach, Wale, Lucky Boy. Yeah. And then,
AB was all about it, man.
And then they talk about how Anisa continues the cycle of embarrassing Ian by sending a photo of Ian's tonsil stones as reasons he might be getting sick.
It's alleged by Anisa herself that Ian has both bad breath and he shits in his pants frequently. Do you have any data on that, having been in close proximity with him?
No.
Ian. I don't want to just talk shit about him, but like there would be times, for example, before the first event where he was talking about getting tonsil stones. Yeah. And he was saying he was going to get strep throat because he had tonsil stones.
Ew.
And I said, Ian, tonsil stones don't cause strep throat. Tonsil stones are because you're not brushing your fucking teeth. And so he was like, oh, okay, hygiene. And I'm like, yeah, fool, like you need to brush your teeth and you like...
Wait, hold on. That shouldn't be something you need to hear from your boxing coach. Brush your teeth. That's something... that's it, knowledge he should have come to you with.
Yeah. He was worried about getting sick. Like, so, yeah.
Was it Creator Clash 1 or 2 where Anisa sent us... It was the day of training for one of the CC 1 or 2. I can't remember which one. And she sent us a photo of his tongue. And she said, oh, I think he might have like bad breath and it's causing...
Wait, she said tonsil stuff.
Hold on. Go back. Why did she send you a picture of his tongue?
They thought it would show us that he was going to get strep throat.
Yeah, so he couldn't come.
And I'm like, because they were trying to say he's going to get sick before the event. And it can happen if you train too hard before an event. You run your immune system down so then you can get sick. but we weren't training too hard for him to get sick.
Yeah.
And at the end of the clip, they say how Ian, of course, didn't train hard enough, which we can see from how the event ended.
Do you have any commentary about his potential body odor?
I mean, I say it's true. I smell it all the time. It's horrible. A good example is this, because Michael's so nice, so he doesn't want to say it. But here's the thing: when we're in fight camp, he does 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. Okay.
For the first fight he did. Well,
Yeah,
for
well,
the first part of the first fight, not for the actual camp.
Correct.
During the camp was when he cut out his 2 days, and that was the most important time to be doing 2 days.
Yes. So he would smell so bad that when he comes back in the afternoon to train, he doesn't shower in between his sessions. And so like the coaches that are training other, members there would just like look at us with the weirdest face, like a stink face. And then Michael would try to take Ian to the corner where there's not a lot of members of the gym, so they don't have to smell it.
I try to take it to the open doorway.
Yeah, so that does happen. I'm not lying. It's true. He doesn't shower.
They continue talking about Ian's body odor, and we find out that he actually smelled so bad that during training sessions they had to move him to a corner not to disturb other members of the gym, because between the sessions of training that were in the morning and evening, he wouldn't shower.
I didn't
Hold
feel
on,
like
guys. I got to
place.
sit on that for a sec. He stunk up the gym so bad you had to move him away from people.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just sit with that.
0.5 hotter, as if like his breath didn't stink all the time.
Yeah.
Another question. I heard that Anisa was talking shit about me and us even before Creator Clash 1.
Yeah, she had said, like, I forget what she said, like, but she had said that she didn't like associating with you guys for some reason.
And we find out that Anisa talked shit behind everyone's backs, which isn't surprising seeing her personality.
But then, like, you had been doing better or something, so they were happy to go on your show. It was it was vague, but because she would talk, she would kind of talk poorly about a lot of different people, so it was easy to just lose track of it. But yeah, she definitely had mentioned like something about you and Hila, and like, or maybe it was just you, but somebody had done something that had offended her at one point.
I'm
so
sure.
She thought, yeah, so she felt like you guys weren't like good people or something.
And even though she didn't like them and talk shit behind their backs, she still went on their shows because they had clout. We can also find out that Anisa is actually in charge in their relationships by these clips, because in one of them, after finishing his training session, Ian was talking with some people, and Anisa just came there and said, "Ian, you're hungry." And then they had to leave because Ian was hungry. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, how do you just go up to someone and say, "Hey, you are hungry," and they just left?
And afterwards, everybody's hanging out, and she walks up to Ian and she goes, "You're hungry."
Yes.
And then so they had to leave because Ian was hungry. So she tells Ian when he was hungry. We're like, what the hell?
And while Ian was training, it seems Anisa developed a crush on one of his sparring partners, where she would be so interested in fights that it didn't matter if Ian was winning or losing. She would still like be very, very intensively looking at the fight, enjoying it.
This next question is very salacious, so it's totally up to you. You can pretend like you don't even know what I'm talking about if you want. But what I've heard is that she was hitting on one of his sparring partners and was obsessed with him and gave him a VIP pass to the event.
A lot of his sparring partners got the passes, but she definitely had a big crush on one of the guys that would come in and spar with them, because anytime they would spar, she would just be super into it and watch every moment. And then even if he would like beat Ian up, she'd be very into it. And then
I want to say that I want to say that before. So Anisa never gave shout outs to Michael training Ian at all. But she put out the first video of Ian like getting rocked in sparring when Ian was sparring with her crush. Yeah. It
was our friend Gabe.
She shared it. And we have a clip too. You guys can share.
I would call him Gorgeous Gabe.
She even went as far as releasing her first video in which her crush actually beat up Ian, which is the craziest way to humiliate someone that you love, in quotation marks at least. And while Anisa was Ian's first girlfriend, it seems that she didn't pick him out without considering her options, because from the young age, she wanted to be with someone who's rich. And her mother, it seems, also wanted her to be with someone who's rich and also the same religion. And she would say to Coach Mike and his wife Kate that she at least got one of them, which meant, and it seemed to have really bothered Ian, even though he wasn't saying anything about it.
Because you've already exposed her for being like the first person that Ian's ever been with, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, what happened was she even told us, she used to always tell her mom, I'm going to be with a millionaire. And so we think that once
she used to tell her mom that she would be with a millionaire? How do you know
Her mom
that?
told her that it had to be someone rich.
How did you know that?
Well, she told
She
us.
would tell us that.
It was, I know, I remember exactly. It was when we were in Vegas going to the other podcast, and we were inside the Uber, and we were with Ian and Anisa. And Anisa said that like her mom only had two expectations for her to marry someone that was rich and also to be of her religion, right? And so she said that Anisa goes, well, I mean, I didn't get someone that was of my religion, but at least I got one part of it right. He's rich. And then she like laughed about it, and then he was in the car, and you could tell he was bothered by it.
I was bothered.
Who wouldn't be bothered by that?
This is so awesome.
Yeah, this is on. It's like a fountain.
This is awesome.
Then Coach Mike talks about how after Creator Clash 3, him and his wife wanted to open a gym, and they needed someone to co-sign as a personal guarantor. And they decided to ask Ian and Anisa because they helped them out during their event, and they were like, oh, maybe they're gonna help us during our event. And I feel like no one's surprised they got a response that they would help in no world, which, if you look into it, seems like a catchphrase that Anisa used a lot, even though it was sent from Ian's phone.
Open our own gym. We actually had asked Ian if he could help us open the gym, not even financially, because at the time we were okay. So we were like, hey, could you just help us out by like signing as a guarantor? And he had told us in no world could he ever help us.
He said that?
Literally.
He said it like in a mean way?
Yes.
In no world. He said, in no world could I help you.
Why would he respond like that?
He did.
Yeah.
He
So
did.
Wait, why? When was that? When did he say that?
That was
right after the second creator class.
Yeah, it was
In no world can I help you?
And Anisa wanted this event to be so much about creators that she decided she didn't actually want to invite any of the coaches, even though they were kind of the backbone of the event because they coached, well, in this case, Ian directly, and there were other coaches. And it seems like they didn't want them in particular. Ian's coaches, she didn't want at the event, at the red carpet. Because, oh, you wouldn't want it, you wouldn't like it. Like, what kind of excuse is that, actually? They're the people who helped you from the beginning, who were very close to you during that time, during everything. And you just don't invite them because, oh, they would, I guess, ruin the image of the event. Like, what the fuck? Or, as they said, they would probably call Ian and Anisa out, and they just didn't want that.
To dress nicely for the gala, that there would be pictures and such.
We found out it was a red carpet event that they flew Getty Images in for. So they straight up flew Getty Images to take pictures for the event. But
they're the only. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, when we asked them about it, and I said, hey, is there a gala? And they said, oh, you guys don't even worry about it. You don't have to go to that. And I said, what? This is what Anisa said. And I said, what? And I said, well, some of the sparring partners got invited. And she said, I don't know how they got on that list. They weren't supposed to be on the list. And in my mind, I'm like, Ian had invited them. He sent them the email personally.
What a disgusting human being she seems to be. I'm sorry.
Oh, she didn't want any of us there. She only wanted like creators there or people that would, I guess, make her feel like she could get more clout. So she told us we didn't have to come to the event. She doesn't know why we would want to be at the event. And I said, what's the event for?
Yeah.
And she said, and it's an award show. And I said, what are the awards for? And she said, they're awards for the boxing. And I said, why wouldn't his coach want to be there? Why wouldn't his team want to be there? I was like, that makes no sense. So everybody else, all the other coaches I talked to, I said, hey, did you guys know about the gala? They said, yeah. I said, did you bring a suit for it? And all of them had freaking like 3-piece suits with like kerchiefs and everything. I had sweatpants. I'm like, what?
Dude, that's so messed up. Why? It's like you're the guy connected with the event organizers, and they're explicitly excluding you guys.
I know why. I honestly believe that the reason why Ian and Anisa excluded us and did not want us to know about the gala is because we're both very professional, we're both very direct, and very transparent. If they told us that they were going to throw a huge gala after the fight and it was going to cost a ton of money, we would have asked them, why are you doing this?
And near the start of the event, Coach Mike was telling Ian that he needed to step up his game and start training twice a day because Coach Mike's reputation and brand were at stake, because if he didn't play out the match correctly, it would all end up on him as a bad trainer and not Ian as bad student, because as he says, Ian has something else to come back to. But Coach Mike, that's his whole brand, training people. So if he can't train someone, why would anyone come to him? And the day after that, Anisa walked into the room and shouted that actually it was her brand that was at stake, since they were 500k in the negative. And that was before the event even started. Before the galas, they actually knew they were in the negative, yet still did nothing. And continued with the galas. Maybe they could have cancelled or something, but no, let's go more in the negative.
Believing it. But so for that second event, so I tell him he needs to do 2-a-days. This is like 2 weeks before the fight. I'm like, we need to do your 2-a-days. And I said, my brand is at stake. Well, he went and told Anisa that I told him my brand was at stake. So the next day she comes into the gym super mad and she's like, our brand is at stake. We're $500,000 in the hole right now. And we're like,
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that at that time. I think a lot of the fighters would have liked to have known that. I don't think none of them needed to be in the dark about that, you know?
Yes, completely. Well, and that's the thing. They said you guys didn't promote enough.
Oh, they didn't promote enough. And I can almost remember like a distant memory of Ian saying, oh, we don't want to stress the creators out, so we don't tell them to actually promote. I must have imagined things. It must be that.
But they weren't honest about the fact that they were spending the money from the ticket sales on the hotel, on flying people in, on all these other things. So it was just like...
So those decisions, the gala decisions were made while in the red.
Yes.
I have a question about that.
So she was like, we're already down 500,000. And she still had time to cancel stuff when she said that? Like, how before the event was that?
Yeah. I mean, it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks before the event. I mean, they
so
knew
she
they
could have made some last minute moves. Yeah.
They knew they were 500K in the hole long before that, right? That's just when they yelled at us about it.
Yeah.
So they could have definitely made moves to reduce spending.
She wanted that award show so bad the next day. They really, really wanted to have that award show so she could give out awards. Once again, you had heard, like Ian said, he didn't want to have the fight just end and have everybody go home the next day.
He said, I'll quote him because it's very rich. He says that the first time afterwards, he woke up and everybody was gone. And he found it super depressing because he didn't get a chance to process his trauma, which seems a little bit hyperbolic.
It doesn't seem a little hyperbolic. It's very, very hyperbolic. And it's actually like an insult to everyone who actually has trauma. Because what the fuck does that even mean? To have trauma from a boxing event that you hosted. You like consciously decided to host the event and to be in the event. You could have just not done it. You could have just hosted it or something. But no, you went to fight and then you had, in quotation marks, trauma.
Frankly, if I'm being honest, I mean, it's like a self-inflicted charity event. I wouldn't call that exactly I wouldn't put that up with like maybe like fighting in a war. I don't know, but but I guess we all define trauma differently. But so he goes. So in that case, I wanted to throw a party afterwards where we could all talk to each other and process our trauma. And then he says, we lost money, but I don't regret throwing the after party.
And he doesn't regret throwing the after party even though they lost money. And it's not like they lost their own money. They lost the charities money. That's the craziest part of this all. Because it would be fine if I had an event and I was like, I'm just not gonna get any money after it. But no, they got money for charity and they were just like, nah, fuck the kids. Why do they need money? It's better if we spend it on ourselves and our, in quotation marks, trauma. And all of these clips are not even scratching the surface of everything that happened on just this stream alone. But we'll talk about that in the following days. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like, and if you want to know everything that happens, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye!